Even when we meet the perfect Guru, we will see something imperfect. Just like when Lord Buddha manifested, so many beings saw him as imperfect. His own cousin Devadatta. Although Buddha manifested so many miraculous powers and showed his enlightenment perfectly, still his own cousin Devadatta, Liu Feijing, could not perceive the Buddha as perfect and only saw faults. It's well recorded. It is not because the Buddha has faults. It is because Liu Feijing or Devadatta had such powerful obscurations that he could not see the Buddha in a perfect light. So if the fully enlightened Buddha manifested in that form and people still saw wrong things and negative things, how about us? How about us? How much negativities do we have? How much negativities do we see? In 1976, when I was in the United States, I can't remember how old, 9 or 10, whatever, His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama had come to the United States for the first time in 1976. And he visited the Mongolian monasteries that I was living in. I was living in a Mongolian community there of over 1,000 Mongolian families, and they have 3 Mongolian temples, huge and very nice ones. And each temple, they have His Holiness the Dalai Lama's throne. So he would visit each of the temples. The last one was Rashilongpo Temple, or Trashilongpo actually was the name, temple. And they had sent out, they had a big land around the temple. They had put out a very huge canopy, a very huge tent. And at the front, they had His Holiness throne, and we were all sit on chairs, receive teachings from His Holiness. And I remember people telling me, and nearby, there was one old Mongolian man who sat nearby us. And when His Holiness walked in and sat on the throne, the man could not see him. He's not a crazy man. He's not a fanatical man. He's a normal, down-to-earth kind of a gentleman. We've known him for a long time. And he cannot see His Holiness the Dalai Lama. We're all standing with our heads bowed, and we're all crying tears of happiness. And he kept saying, "Oh, where's His Holiness? Where's His Holiness the Dalai Lama? Has he come?" We thought it was not the time to joke. It's not very funny. He literally could not see His Holiness. During the whole teachings, it was about an hour and a half to 2 hours, he could not see His Holiness. He saw an empty throne and not even the sound. This was when I was there. He could not see at all. And believe me, he's not blind or crazy. He doesn't have wind in his head. What's that, tofung or something you call it? He doesn't have that, right? He actually could not see His Holiness. Then, he was very depressed, very sad. He had gone through World War I. He had gone through World War II. He escaped from Germany to America. And he had been practicing Buddhism for a long, long time. The normal practice that a lay person does, the prayers and all that. And every dream of a Mongolian is to see His Holiness once. To see the golden face, as they say in Mongolian. See the face of His Holiness the Dalai Lama once, and then you can die in peace. This is the saying that we have in Mongolian tradition. And for him not to see it was very devastating. So he went to the nearby temples to visit with the monks there and asked them. Through divination, they found out that he has very strong obscuration. Very, very strong, very, very powerful obscuration. And they taught him some methods to purify. They did some rituals to purify. And His Holiness from America went to Canada. So the man very much did the rituals, did the prayers to purify himself. Then there was another audience, especially for the Mongolians up in Canada. When this man went with the group, for the first time, he can see His Holiness's face. When His Holiness walked in, he sat down on the throne. The man can see it. He was in tears. He couldn't stop crying. He was overwhelmed with emotion. It was the first time he could see His Holiness. Literally can see His Holiness. These things, these phenomena do exist. They are there. Even a perfectly enlightened being can be in front of us, and we will see them imperfect. We'll see them as dirty. We'll see them as normal. We'll see them as having problems and difficulties like us because of our own negative karma. It's like someone who's a thief knows another thief. If you're going to steal an item, you're afraid someone else is going to steal the item. You have that innate fear, as a rough example. Like that, when your obscurations are not cleared and your negative karma is very strong, you will not be able to see highly enlightened beings. And if you see them, you will see them as unenlightened, ordinary, simple with their problems and their difficulties. Whether they have it or not, definitely will perceive it. So Vajrasattva is very powerful for purifying this negative kind of karma that arises for us to doubt the Dharma. When we doubt the Dharma, when we doubt our teachers, when we doubt the power of the Dharma, it would be very difficult to practice. If we don't practice, we sink deeper into delusions, delusional acts, and negative karma. We sink deeper and deeper and deeper. And that is instinct. It's because we've been collecting the karma for such a long time. That is why it's so easy for us, negative karma and negative actions. That's why it's so easy for us to do negative actions. That is why from the time we're born up till now, we've been beaten and scolded and beaten and scolded and punished and grounded by our parents for doing negative things. Always. No child doesn't get a scolding or a beating from the parents from doing something negative. Why is that so innate? Why doesn't a child get born and immediately do good things? Why does it always have to be bad? Think about it. Why does a child have to be scolded all the time? Because he is innately, for hundreds and thousands of years, doing negative things, doing negative karma, overwhelmed by delusion. So the minute he's born, there's his delusion. He starts all over again. He starts doing negative things again by instinct, naturally. He wants to do it again and again and again, and it's very easy. That's why we scold our children. That's why we tame them. We watch them not to do negative things. Because the instincts are innate in all of us. Therefore, Vajrasattva's practice is very powerful for destroying this instinct. Very powerful for purifying the negative karma of the mind, the body, and the speech. That we lessen our negative actions. We purify our negative karma that we have already collected that will result in suffering. And we will purify our delusions with time. Therefore, when we purify our negative karma, when we have less obscurations, less doubt will arise. Less stupidity will arise. Ignorance will lessen. When ignorance lessens, stupidity goes down. And the very obstacles for us to practice Dharma goes down. We'll be able to practice the Dharma. People who are purified will read a Dharma scripture, will understand immediately. Some people, you read it to them 100 times and nothing happens. It is the obscuration of their mind. But again, do not lose hope. It is impermanent. It can be purified. It is impermanent. It is a phenomenon that is impermanent. With constant application of Vajrasattva's nectar-like mantra and prayer and meditation, one can purify the negative karma that creates doubt, laziness, that creates, the negative instincts, the delusions. One can definitely purify. And in fact, if one wants to do Dharma practice seriously, one should engage in the practice of Vajrasattva. If you engage in the practice of Vajrasattva combined with the four opponent powers, of course, then one will see your life change. Definitely. The negativities lessen. One's doubts lessen. When one studies the Dharma, we understand very quickly. And when one practices, the results come very quickly. Also, anxieties become less. Things that have not been going our way will start going our way. Why? Because the karma for things that go negatively is being lessened, is being purified. Just like when you have a very dirty window and you wipe it once, you can see something. You wipe it again, you can see more. You wipe it again, you can see much more. After a few wipes, more and more, you can see clearer and clearer and clearer and clearer. How much you wipe, the pressure you put, and also how much you apply that will be how much you can see through the window on how fast it becomes clean. So Vajrasattva is excellent at purifying the negative karma. If you have doubts about Dharma, or you're lazy, or when you do Dharma you get sleepy, it is all a sign of negativities from previous lives coming to block your Dharma practice. Because if your Dharma practice is successful, Mara, or the devils, will lose. Your negative karma will lose. Your sufferings will lose. Naturally, karma is so strong, it's not going to lose that easily. So you apply something so powerful, such as Vajrasattva. Very, very powerful. So you visualize him smiling, radiant, and what will make him even more powerful is that he is the radiant energy of all the Buddha's purification powers. All the Buddhas of the 10 directions, Manjushri, Kuan Yin, Vajrapani, all the Buddha's purification powers manifest in the form of Vajrasattva, who is indivisible, who is inseparable from our root guru, from our own teacher. Then we visualize him on top of our head. Very beautiful. You don't have to visualize him the size of your body. You might think, oh, it's quite heavy or something. You can visualize him the size of your hand or the size of your thumb. Whatever his size, we have this conception, the bigger than better. Wrong. Vajrasattva, big or small, is very powerful. Vajrasattva is Vajrasattva. There's no difference how you visualize, right? If you want to visualize him very big, it's okay. After a while, I think get a little bit heavy. In any case, very important. to visualize as well, three-dimensional, the nature of rainbow lights. White, graceful and beautiful. White, not just like a piece of paper, but the kind of white like a snow mountain and hundreds of suns. The reflection of the hundreds of suns, and that reflection coming off the mountain is the color of his body. Blazing like a polished mirror, hundreds of polished mirror when we put a reflection of the sun in there. How bright and white is it? That type of white, that type of purity. Very clean and very light, and very smiling, very happy, sitting on top of your head, who is indivisible from your guru. So one should apply the four opponent powers, which is the first one is regret. Regret will be based upon fear of the results that one has committed in negative karma. One have committed in previous lives and now. And also your broken vows. For monks, the prakti moksha vows, the self-liberation vows. For lay people, the vows of the 10 non-virtues to be avoided. Any of those you have broken. Number 2, your bodhicitta vows. Number 3, your tantric vows. It is said by Vajrasattva's practice, by Vajrasattva's meditation, you can purify even root downfalls of the tantric root downfalls of the tantric vows, which is very difficult to purify. If you can purify the root downfalls of the tantric vows, definitely the lower vows, such as the 10 non-virtuous acts that we should avoid, will be purified. Definitely will be purified. It will purify your broken commitments. If you have made a promise to your teacher, if you have made a promise to the Buddha, you have sworn an oath, or you have broken some commitment. If you leave it there, the broken commitment definitely will come back to you in the form of karma, by the power of your karma. So if you visualize and take refuge in the great Buddha Vajrasattva, definitely you'll be able to purify that negative karma that is accrued. And that is, in fact, don't leave it there. Oh, it's just a smaller thing. That is increasing day by day by day by day by day by day. It's very scary, actually. From the fear that the karma will come back and block your spiritual realization and block your spiritual practice. One, out of fear, takes refuge, and one has regret and confesses up to the Bodhisattva, to the great Buddha Vajrasattva. And then after one confesses one's negativity to the Bodhisattva Vajrasattva, the Buddha Vajrasattva saying. And then one promises not to do that action again. If you cannot promise for a long time, at least promise one day at a time. Take one day at a time. Say to Vajrasattva, from today until tomorrow night, from tonight till tomorrow night, 24 hours, I will not lie. And then you do that, and you train yourself. If you can take it for a week, you take it for a week. If you take it for a month, you take it for a month. If you take it for life, you take it for life. But I think, in my case, I try to take it hourly. So I think, I won't do that for the next hour. But it's okay. Even if you start out a little bit, it will increase, because it's just training your mind. You train yourself again and again and again. Promise not to do it again. And then purification practices, opposite practices, which is what we're doing now, a purification practice. It will be very effective to apply the four opponent powers for Vajrasattva. And Vajrasattva is a very, very powerful practice. No one should be without it. No one. Sounds like a commercial. But anyways, one should definitely, and I didn't mean it to sound like a commercial, but it did. But anyways, you should not be without Vajrasattva. You should definitely have Vajrasattva, because it will be a very powerful force in purifying the negative karmas that you have committed today, yesterday, the day before, which is multiplying again and again. It will purify the negative karma that obscures you from understanding the Dharma, practicing the Dharma. It will definitely do it. And the more you do Vajrasattva, the more you concentrate, the better and better and better and better it becomes. Also, the clearer and clearer your mind becomes more and more and more clear. You'll be able to deal your problems and your anxieties and delusions much, much better. And you'll see your physical condition change. And also you will see your speech become more gentler and kinder, nicer. And also, those are the side benefits. In fact, as you clear the delusions more and more and more, the realization of the Dharma can come easier and easier, faster, and much, 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 much better. And one should visualize Vajrasattva that way. And His Eminence, the great Lama Tutin Yeshi Rinpoche, who was the guru of Sopa Rinpoche, was a great advocate of the Vajrasattva practice. Very, very great advocate. And Lama Yeshi is a fully enlightened being, actually. Fully enlightened. And in fact, he wrote his book, The Tantric Path of Purification of Vajrasattva. So he was a great advocate of it. In fact, all the great lamas are advocates. And this is not a practice of just the Gelugpa. It is not just a practice of one sect. It is a practice of all the four sects. Sakya, Nyingma, Kagyu, and it's all the four sects practice Vajrasattva. The visualization is the same, the thinking is the same, the steps is the same. So when we see that Vajrasattva is practiced only by all four sects, we can see his immediacy or his importance or how much his practice is stressed. So it's very, very important that we engage in Vajrasattva practice. Even every day, if we just do 21 recitations, we should do it well with the correct visualization. And we should engage in trying to do, you can do more than 21, of course. We should try to engage and try to do more and try to fulfill 100,000.